Is just around the corner, and that means the deadline to register is ticking. But with the COVID-19 pandemic still lingering, students and universities are not sure what academic life might look like.
Here to give us some details on what you need to know is CEO of Command Education, Christopher Rim. Chris, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Welcome back to the Pick 7 Morning News. So let's get to it, because for the current application cycle, right, have you seen an increase or decrease in applicants given what's going on in the world around us?
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. You know, Harvard reported a 57% increase in early action applicants. Yale received 38% more applicants as well. So it's been pretty crazy. We're seeing students really applying for top tier schools right now. But also it's going to be harder to get into these schools this year, only because so many students decided to take a gap year. You know, Harvard had approximately 350 students deferred their acceptance. So when they were supposed to start in fall 2020, they said they're actually going to take a year off and then start later this fall. So that's about 350 fewer students they'll be able to accept this cycle.
Got it. Okay, so it's harder, more students. What are some of the concerns, though, that you're hearing from college students?
I think the biggest concern is whether or not school is going to be remote or it's going to be in person. No one really wants to pay $50,000+ for online remote schooling. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. And if the vaccine isn't rolled out on time or properly, and students can't go back to school and feel safe, I feel like students are going to take another gap year. So I hope everything works out, but that's what students have been telling me.
How does that work, though? Can they hold their place in school and take another gap year if the vaccine isn't rolled out in time for in-person learning?
So I think every school is a little bit different. Typically, you can take one gap year. In very rare circumstances, you can ask for a second year, but I mean, that's almost never done. So some students will need to reapply to college. Some students who've taken a gap year in between college years, so maybe between sophomore and junior year in college, if they're an international student, they're going to also have to worry about their visa situation as well. So it's not just whether or not the college will take them back, it's also with their visa status and so.
So Chris, walk me through some of this, because some of the major impacts COVID-19 has had on the admission process go back to what you do in high school, right? So for me, I wasn't a good test taker, but I was really big on extracurricular activities, right? But those extracurricular activities may not be happening right now because everybody's at home. So are colleges now considering some new ways to kind of look at the whole picture of the student?
So colleges, I mean, it really depends on which schools we're talking about, but a lot of these schools are still going to look to see what you've done during this time really outside of the physical school space. You know, that's what they're going to care about. They're going to see how have you taken advantage of this time, what different opportunities or volunteering have you been able to kind of do online, how are you able to keep up with your exams. I think tests, this was probably the most misleading thing I feel like colleges did, is that they said that tests were going to be optional. They were not optional. If you didn't take the test, you were at a clear disadvantage.
Meaning the SAT.
Exactly, the SAT subject test, unless the school said that they were test blind, which 2 schools did, Yale and MIT, for their SAT subject test. All the other schools were kind of misleading students by saying it was optional, because let's say your best friend who has very similar profile was applying to the same school and you didn't have test scores and they did, who's going to get in? The student with the better test scores, as long as everything else is pretty much the same.
Got it. So for those who are looking to still register for this upcoming semester, when is the deadline for that?
So deadlines for this current semester spring already passed. You know, if you wanted to transfer into a school, that was due in like October, November. If you wanted to enroll in spring semester, that was due 2 months ago. But of course, a lot has changed over the past 2 months as well. So you can definitely speak with the registrar's office, see if you can delay your enrollment by another semester and start this fall. But it's really going to depend on the school. So the first thing I would do is check the school's website. They are updating their blogs and admissions homepages. So please check that out, and then from there you'll be able to kind of see the most up-to-date policies, because some schools are offering more scholarships, some schools are being a little bit more frugal with how they're giving and awarding scholarships. So you do want to check with the school.
And I think this is the time a lot of people are now looking at maybe applying locally to a college rather than somewhere that they may have wanted to travel to. Chris, we could talk to you all day about this, people really interested in education, but we're out of time. Thank you for being here. You're welcome back anytime, all right?
Thanks so much.